And then a very close friend of mine, Karen Johnson,
Yeah.
who you know,
I do, yeah.
who I had been a roommate in art school with, was helping me out one day. I was going through some difficulty personally. I was dealing with a hard space within myself. And it was actually the space I'd been stuck in from the period when I had been meditating. The meditation kind of brought me deeper and deeper into myself and right up against the edge of my personality structure and into a great deal of deficiency. And she said, "Could I work with you for a minute?" And I said, "Okay." And she just kind of started asking me questions. And before I knew it, within 5 minutes, I had completely gone through the stuck place I'd been in for 2 years.
Huh.
And I said, "Oh my God, I have to learn how to do this."
Yeah.
So I started working with Hamid. I called him up. I said, "Hamid?" And he said, "Sandra." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'd like to come to your group." And he was very sweet. He said, "I'm deeply honored." And that was, let's see, 1981. So I can't do the math, but quite a long time
27 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been working with the Diamond Approach ever since and am a teacher of it.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So coming back to the Enneagram,
Yeah.
let's, for people that don't really know what the Enneagram is, let's just give them a very brief overview. So, as we were saying earlier, there's 9 different personality types.
Yes.
Now, I know from my limited knowledge of it that each type has a potential. Do you just want to run through and just talk about, for maybe a minute or something, each personality type and what the potential is?
Sure. Yeah. I would look at it more kind of the other way around, in terms of like the whole theory that the way I learned the Enneagram rests on is that our ego structure or our personality structure develops as the result of contact with spiritual reality or the ground of being or true nature, whatever one wants to call it, the divine. And that loss happens in early childhood, usually in the first 4 years, and that each of the 9 types develops a core belief about the nature of reality and therefore the nature of oneself as a result of that loss. And so each of the types is based on a fundamental distortion or delusion about reality that creates all sorts of suffering for each of the types.
Right.
And very particular kinds of suffering.
So we've lost touch with who we really are in one way. Yeah.
Exactly. So the potential is reclaiming who we really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So briefly, moving around the Enneagram, beginning with point 9, which is considered the archetype, the central Enneatype, kind of like if it were white light and the others were refracted through a prism, they would be variations on the same theme. So the personality type 9 is basically the principle of going to sleep on one's ultimate nature. So the whole style that develops is based on going to sleep on oneself, turning away from oneself, getting preoccupied, getting busy with what's going on outside, and not paying attention to oneself.
So how would that manifest practically in someone's life? If they're listening to you talk about these 9 types and they're playing a little game and trying to spot their type, what would be the major characteristic for them to look for?
A sense of worthlessness.
So personally they don't feel worthless?
Yeah,
okay.
That other people are much more interesting, much more special, that they have characteristics that are important but that they don't.
Okay.
And they tend to be people who harmonize a lot, who they can see other people's realities quite well, and so they're very good mediators. And part of it is that they like things to stay peaceful.
Yeah, but that's a quality of being able to mediate, isn't it? Too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can see where other people are coming from, and you can kind of, connect the dots between people. Yeah. So they tend to be very gracious, very loving people, but very self-absenting. I'm not very important.
Okay.
So the next type, moving around the wheel of the Enneagram, point 1, are the perfectionists of the Enneagram. And they've lost contact with their inherent perfection, the inherent rightness or suchness, as they say in Zen Buddhism, of oneself and of how things are. And because of that, the fundamental belief is that something is wrong somewhere, and their job is to fix it.
So they feel that things should be perfect, and so they see imperfection everywhere. Is that right?
Looking at it slightly differently, they assume that things are not perfect.
Okay.
And so they need to fix them.
Okay.
Either in themselves or in other people. So they can be quite critical, quite judgmental, preachy, picky.
So they have high standards in one way.
Very high standards.
For themselves and others.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they tend to identify themselves as good people doing the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2s are the dependents of the Enneagram. Their basic conviction is that they're not fundamentally lovable, and that what they need to do is to become a very special, indispensable person to somebody very important, or a group of important people. And so it's through the connection that they get a sense of self. And it's through the self-importance in relationship to others that they get a strong sense of self.
Right. And they're also the helpers, aren't they?
Yes.
They're going out and helping people a lot.
Yes.
And through that they often lose their centre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. They're so busy anticipating other people's needs that they don't really tune into their own.
Right.
Yeah. And basically the game is giving to get. It's like the Christian maxiom of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So they do unto others, and they hope that others will do unto them in kind.
Doesn't always work though, does it?
Doesn't always work that way, and then they get very annoyed.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one of the ways that one can distinguish if that's your Enneatype.